There always seems to be a reason why parents can't sleep train their baby right now. One of them being that the baby crying might wake the older siblings. So I'm here to tell you that you don't have to not sleep train your baby just because you have older children. So you're not alone, okay? Like, don't feel like you're the only parent who can't sleep train your kid because you have older kids. So I have 3 kids and all 3 of them have been sleep trained, and in the process, nobody else lost sleep. A lot of parents have this fear that when their baby wakes up crying, then the toddler's gonna wake up screaming, and then everybody in the house is gonna be awake and everyone's going to be miserable. But it really doesn't have to be that way. A lot of times parents have these fears and anxieties that hold them back from doing things as parents that they wanna do. And honestly, getting your baby more sleep and getting you more sleep, it's not selfish and it's not something that you have to feel guilty about. And it's definitely not something that is going to wake up the entire house. And I'm gonna help you navigate around these hurdles so that you can sleep train your baby and have your older kids still get sleep. You would definitely be surprised to know that when I work with families who have older siblings, 9 times out of 10, that older sibling doesn't even wake up when the baby is going through the sleep training process and might be crying a little bit more through the night. And parents are surprised, but of course, I'm gonna tell you all the tips on how to avoid waking up your older child while sleep training your younger baby. So let's jump into my top 5 tips on sleep training your baby when you have an older child. Tip number 1 is to always have open communication with your older child. If you're planning on sleep training the baby, you need to let the older child know. So whether it's a toddler, preschooler, school-age child, just let them know, hey, you know, the baby is having a hard time sleeping at night. I'm not sure if you wake up in the night and hear the baby crying, but we are going to be sleep training the baby, and that means that there might be a lot more crying at bedtime, maybe a little bit more through the night, but just so you know, we're going to be helping the baby learn how to sleep by herself so that she's not waking everybody up all night long. There's nothing wrong with telling your child that you're going to be going through this process, which brings me to tip number 2 is to involve your older child. Give that child a job. Maybe during the bedtime routine, you're having your older child read a book to the younger child. So really just involving the older child and giving them a job or giving them something that they can do to be a part of the sleep training process will help them maybe not be so nervous about what is to come. Sometimes parents tell me that the older child gets upset when they hear the baby crying, and you know, having them involved in this process can definitely help. Tip number 3 is to have a list of activities for your older child to do while your younger child is taking a nap or while you're even just helping put the baby down for a nap. So what I like to do with the older kids is let them know that during the baby's nap time, this is when you can do these messy activities. Things like sand, kinetic sand, Play-Doh, anything that you don't want your baby really like putting in their mouths and getting, you know, a mess all over the place. So maybe if your child likes to do projects, then they can do painting, make collages, like all those types of activities that your child can be doing while you're putting the baby down for a nap and while the baby is sleeping. So they're engaged in some sort of activity where they're not yelling and screaming and being loud in the house. Like, I'm not gonna tell an older child, like, you have to be quiet while the baby's sleeping. But if you give them something to do where they're engaged and they're really like hands-on in an activity, then they're probably not gonna be yelling and screaming through the house anyways. It's kind of a win-win situation because when you have your older child set up with an activity to do and your baby is sleeping, then you might be able to like take a shower or do some dishes or laundry. Tip number 4 is to double up on white noise. So overnight, what you want to do is if your older child doesn't have white noise in their room anymore, you want to put it back in. So you can put white noise right next to their bed, right next to where they're sleeping, so that it's like right near their ear. Or you could put it near the door, near like where the source of the crying sound is coming from. So it's like in the hallway. It really just depends on what your child likes, but generally it helps to put the white noise closest to the source of the noise, so it's drowning that out. We love to use the Zenimal at bedtime. So this actually has story times and meditations on here. And then if you have it plugged in, then you can have it set on the white noise feature to have the white noise all night long. So this is definitely something that you can put next to your older child's bed so that they're falling asleep easier at night, and also having that white noise all night long. And then if you wanted, you could also have a white noise machine outside their bedroom door. Oh, and also I will put a link to this Zenimal. So many people have not heard of it yet, but I love this thing. I'll put a link in the description box down below. And if you use the code Slumber and Bloom, then you will get a discount. Whoop, whoop. Okay, tip number 5. This is the last one. Ask for help. Just do it. Like, if you have neighbors or family members or friends or anybody who's willing to come over and maybe even just play with your older child while you're getting the younger child down for bed, either at bedtime or nap time, because more than likely your baby is going to have an earlier bedtime than your toddler, preschooler, school age kid. However old your older kid is, they're probably gonna have a later bedtime than your baby. So once in a while, you can always have somebody come over and play with that child, with the older child, so that, you know, they're having a little bit different engagement and they're not sitting there wondering like, well, what's happening with the baby? Why is the baby crying? And they're not like, you never know if it's gonna stress them out. Some kids might be really anxious about hearing their sibling cry, and others really might not be fazed at all. But it's definitely a good thing to reach out to somebody that you love and trust and ask them to help. Just ask them to kind of come over for a few minutes and hang out with the kid. If you need more support, I offer one-on-one consultations where I write you a customized sleep plan and you have 2 weeks of support with me. So if you're interested in that, fill out the form in my description box down below. We'll hop on a phone call and figure out which package is right for you. If you're interested in more free YouTube content, watch this playlist over here for more sleep training tips. Click this button right here to subscribe to my channel and keep blooming. Mwah!